In today's episode of the Motorhome Matt Podcast,
we unpack Alde's motorhome heating systems.
And we've got a big spend and save for you.
And we answer your questions on heating issues, promoting campsites, and a shout out for a listener.
Welcome to the Motorhome Matt Podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
Industry insights, expert advice for the world of motorhomes, caravans and campervans. And it's brought to you by thatleisureshop.com.
Now, please do remember to follow on your favourite podcast app and click subscribe and the little bell on YouTube, which is brought to you by arabasecreative.co.uk.
And it's time for the news this week. You can get your tickets to the first show of 2025, the Caravan, Motorhome and Holiday Show from the 16th to the 19th of January 2025. Where is it, Matt?
It's right in the middle of Manchester Central, and it's an amazing venue with an amazing show in it. It's the first show of the year. It's much smaller than some of the other indoor shows that we're used to, like, for example, the one in Birmingham. But it's a great way to view some 2024 models that maybe haven't sold and see new models for 2025.
You can bag a bargain early in the new year.
Hopefully, yeah. Why not? If you're looking for a new motorhome, campervan, a static lodge, there's all sorts there. Loads of accessories as well. Lots to see. It's a great show. You find out more at caravanshows.com.
And will you be running around with your microphone and your video camera getting what we call content?
Content creating. Yeah, we will. That's the plan. We intend to have a stand there. Maddie and Tom are joining us as well. Mrs. Motorhome Matt will be there, hopefully, throughout. So we're still formulating the final detail. Christmas kind of gets in the way. But yeah, the plan is to go and create some new content and see what we can unpack of what's going on next year.
It's an oasis, get it, Manchester, of caravan and motorhome loveliness.
You did that the other week.
Did I?
Same joke.
Oh, never mind.
It was funny that time.
At least I'm predictable.
Yeah.
Our product feature of the week. What is the product of the week then, Matt?
Well, this week,
Ooh.
the sack's empty.
He's got his sack out, if you're listening.
We got the bells going. Look there.
Yeah.
We this week it's all about a spend and save offer. We're in the middle of our 12 Daves of Christmas.
Is that the 12 Daves of Christmas then?
It's very clever. The marketing team here went out and got very drunk and came up with this idea. I think that's what happened. Anyway.
And who the hell is Dave?
Dave runs our shop. So if you visit that leisure shop here in North Somerset, you will probably meet Dave. He's one of the smiliest, loveliest men you'll ever meet. He's super helpful, and you'll see his caricature all over the website as well. And so, yes, we're running the 12 Daves of Christmas. And our Day 5 offer, which launches today as we launch this episode, is spend and save. So you can save £5 when you spend £45.
£15 when you spend £125.
And save £25 when you spend £200.
Those are big savings now.
They are big savings. They're brilliant. So yeah, spend and save with us here in the shop at That Leisure Shop, or visit us online at thatleisureshop.com.
And because there's 12 days of Christmas, it's very important that you claim these discounts before the 10th. It goes up on the 9th. It continues for 24 hours. So if you're listening after the 10th of December 2024, don't bother with trying to get the discount. No, don't. You won't get the discount, but there might be other discounts if you go online or drop into the shop.
There might be.
You never know. But this particular one lasts for 24 hours. It's the 5th day of Christmas. We'll just repeat, £5 off when you spend £45.
£15 off when you spend £125.
And £25 off when you spend £200. There's also some big giveaways coming closer to Christmas as well.
Yeah, so make sure you follow That Leisure Shop on our socials and you'll keep in touch with the 12 Daves of Christmas. In fact, our offers throughout the year, the team are always coming up with really great offers. So stay tuned to that at That Leisure Shop on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. And have a look at the website as well.
Ho, 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 as they say.
Thank you, Dave.
It's the Motorhome Matt Podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
What's Alde?
It's a supermarket, isn't it?
Yeah. So why are they on the Motorhome Matt Podcast?
This is Alde. So it's all about how you say it. So Alde are a long-established heating company, and they supply a heating system into motorhomes and caravans, and they have been doing that for 75 years. They're long-established, as I say. They're a big innovator in the industry, and I wanted to find out a little bit more about Alde, some of their history, because it's a big year this year for them at 75 years old, and also about what is happening for them in the future. I'm delighted to welcome to the studio Leigh Marsden, the MD of Alde UK. Leigh, it's great to see you.
Good to be here, Matt.
How many years has it been trying to persuade you to come and join us here in the studio?
Well, this isn't my natural place. Yes.
You're a backroom boy, eh?
Yeah. I prefer not to be in front of the camera, to be honest.
Well, ignore the camera.
I've looked forward to this. So.
You liar.
I like to test myself.
You are. Yeah. Well, we were going to put you through your paces. We're not, I promise. So I want to find out a bit more about Alde. Firstly, we've established how to say it. It's not Aldi.
No, it's Alde.
Alde.
That's how the Swedes pronounce it.
It's named after its founder, whose name was?
Alde Rask.
Okay, and this year, in April, you were 75.
Yeah, we were founded in April of 1949, so it's our 75th anniversary this year.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
And you've been there ever since the start, I understand.
Yes, it's been a long period.
It was a very long paper round.
Yeah, no, I started actually in 1994, part-time.
Wow, okay. And the company was born in Sweden.
Yes.
I want to talk about its history. So when it came to the UK, when did it come to the UK?
Alde has been in the UK, I'm going to say from 1986 as far as I know. Okay. But that's not to say before my known history that some heaters might have slipped into the country before that.
Yeah, and has it always done heating for the leisure industry? Has that always been its mainstay?
No. The actual inventor, Alde Rask, he actually started out making braking components in Sweden.
Ah, yeah.
And he had his own camper, and he wasn't particularly happy with the heating in it at the time. So he came up with his own heating system, and he was so proud of it that he actually started taking it around to various European manufacturers. And in 1966, Adria in Slovenia actually became the first customer.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and since then the company's really grown a lot in Europe. It's pretty much 100% Alde in Scandinavia, where obviously the temperatures are much lower and you need that extra bit of heating.
Yeah. So just tell us what it is for those listening that have maybe seen the branding around, probably seen your stand at the big shows, and some of the Warner shows outdoors, and you standing on them throughout the week, grinning at everybody. But what is Alde heating?
Alde heating is hydronic heating, so it's central heating, just like what people have at home. It's essentially you're transferring the energy around the caravan or motorhome via fluid rather than by air, which is obviously a very efficient medium to actually transport the actual heat around the caravan.
And it's a special fluid, isn't it? It's not water.
It is, yes. In our system, we actually use ethylene glycol, so it's the same fluid that you'd find in a motorcycle or a car engine.
Yeah. Okay, got it. And the radiators are placed around the interior, which then dissipate the heat, creating heat transfer via convection rather than blown air like your competitor, Truma.
Yeah.
That's the fundamental difference, isn't it? What are the main benefits of that then?
The main benefits of central heating is really you're trying to cocoon the whole vehicle in heat. So when we design a caravan or motorhome, we try and follow most of the same principles that you would if you were designing a house heating system. So you get your radiators underneath windows, so that insulates the person in the vehicle from any cold drafts.
Yes.
We try and get it along the beds so that when you roll over in the morning, hopefully you touch a nice warm wall rather than sort of get a shock of
a damp, wet wall.
Yeah, so,
that's cold.
Yeah, so that's what it's all about essentially. I mean, there are other benefits to central heating. You get typically more storage space because the radiators are up against the wall.
Yeah.
You typically would be using less energy. Obviously, with a central heating system, just like at home when your room thermostat gets to temperature, although the boiler might go off and the pump might go off, your radiators continue to emit heat.
Yes.
So you've still got heat there, even though the boiler's not actually using any energy.
And it's interesting what you say about windows. So I remember we had an Adriasonic Supreme.
Yeah.
And the radiators were fitted below the windscreen in the dashboard and under the seats. And of course, that's the coldest place in any motorhome, especially in A-Class. So this is one where the windscreen's like a coach, if that's what A-Class is. And there were always drafts around there, but the outer system just seemed to absolutely kill them off.
Yeah, the cabin is, in motorhomes and panel vans, it's by far the toughest challenge for any heating company, trying to balance the comfort, because the cold in the front really just try and draw the warm air from the back.
Well, warm air is attracted to cold air, isn't
Exactly.
it? So it will always head there.
Yeah.
Which is where the outer system wins, I suppose, just offsetting the cold air. Cool, get it. And the other big benefit I remember from our Sonic was the underfloor heating. And getting out of bed in socked or bare feet onto a warm or even very warm floor was quite an emotion, I have to say.
Yeah, it's unless you've had the underfloor heating, it's really hard. Perhaps you've experienced it at home, but unless you've had it, it's very hard to sort of explain the comfort difference, because it doesn't, in a caravan or a motorhome, really add that significantly to the total heat output in the vehicle.
No.
But in terms of its comfort, it's really night and day.
Yeah, it is.
So,
And let's talk about cost then. So the difference in cost between an Alde system and a Truma system. What does an Alde system cost when we're buying a motorhome and we spec Alde, or the manufacturer tells us it comes with Alde? What are we paying for it?
I would say it's probably an extra 50% on top of what you'd pay for a blown air system.
So it's realistically, what, $2,500 for an Alde system,
Yeah,
3K for
retail, that would be the kind of money.
So,
you'd
and
be
the
looking
Truma
at.
system is about half the price.
Yes.
So it carries a price premium,
Yeah.
but it's a premium product, so it's
Yeah.
fair enough. And interestingly, you've grown massively in the UK. And you were telling me earlier that 30 years ago, when you joined Alde, its market penetration in the UK was about 2% of all caravans.
Yeah.
And motorhomes are probably few and far between then,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started, I remember being a young man at Earl's Court when there used to be a show down in London, and people would come over and they'd see me with an Alde shirt on, and they'd come and tap me and say, "Oh, you work for Alde?" And I'd say yes, and they'd say, "Oh, it's amazing, it's absolutely fantastic. It's really changed how we use the vehicle." And at the time, it was quite surprising for me, although I spent many years in caravans as a kid. Never really paid a lot of attention to what heating system it had, and as I spent more time with the company, I couldn't understand why we had such low market penetration. We were really just in the very, very highest end of the market. So I set about trying to understand, why do the manufacturers only fit us into such a small part of their product portfolios.
Yeah.
I found out what the reasons were and set about addressing them as much as I could. Things like weight, complexity of the system, how long it takes to fit, a concern about leaks, and a concern about cost. And the only thing I wasn't really able to do much about was actually the cost of the system, because it is a more expensive product.
Yeah. But you've managed to grow. What's the percentage of market share now?
I think at our highest ever level, we were probably about 48%, and
That's amazing.
today we're probably closer to 40%. It actually goes up and down a lot depending on what manufacturers are building on any given year.
Yeah.
So,
And of course, this is a manufacturer decision as to whether that product has your system or something else, maybe
It is,
blown air
yeah.
or diesel heating.
Yeah.
As consumers, can we spec Alde heating? Is there any manufacturer that allows you to choose it?
there are actually in Europe. You can actually, if you're buying sort of high-end motorhomes, you can actually spec whether or not you would like an Alde system or a blown air system, whether that's Truma, Whale, Webasto, Iberspacher, etc.
Yeah. But generally, it's the manufacturer's decision, isn't it? And they just present the product to us. So in the Adria range, the Supreme range has Alde heating in it. Everything else is Truma. And another interesting fact as well, you are sister companies with Truma.
We are indeed.
You are a family-owned business with Truma.
Yeah.
Yet you directly compete with each other, owned by the same family.
Yes. Alde was bought by Truma in, I think it was 1997.
Okay.
So yes, we are technically competitors, and we do compete in the marketplace, but we also try to work together in some areas, when it comes to benefiting the customer, whether it's customer service, warranty. If we can help each other out in those sort of areas where it's a benefit to the users, we will do.
And on that point about customer service, this is where you excel. So if someone's got an Alde system and they've got a problem with it, they can ring you, can't they? In fact, you'll often answer the phone.
You know that.
Well, I've rung.
Yeah.
And it's like, Leigh, is that you? Yeah. You're the MD. What are you answering the phone for? Which I find remarkable. Are you still answering the phones today?
Yes. Yeah, we actually try and have it so that every person in the business could pick up the telephone.
Right.
Everybody does product training courses throughout the year to make sure that if we want to, they can go to a show and actually speak with confidence to the customers about the products.
Brilliant. I love it. And the customer can take their van to you to be serviced, fixed, repaired, checked, whatever. You do it all there. Yeah,
we have 2 slots per day, right. A morning and an afternoon, where you can actually come visit us for, it can be anything from perhaps a routine service. God forbid something breaks down, we can fix it. We even do some custom work. So perhaps if you're a skier and you're spending the whole season out in the Alps, you might want to increase the output of the vehicle even more. So we do a lot of things. Some people, for instance, want different towel rails in the bathrooms. So we do all sorts of stuff.
Amazing. Now talk to me about the fluid. So the fluid in an Alde system used to be blue.
Yeah.
It's now pink. Why?
2 reasons. One is we tried to get our ISO 14001 certification, which we were successful with. That's actually an environmental certificate.
Okay.
And as part of that, we wanted to have it so that the antifreeze needed to be changed less frequently.
Right.
And what it means with the pink antifreeze, it's actually got a 5-year life.
Okay.
So over a 10-year period, you'd only need to swap it twice.
The blue was 2 years, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So
got it.
That's good for the environment. It's good for the customer because it's less cost as well. So.
And you can't mix them, I presume?
What's interesting, the pink fluid is actually called G13 or G12++, and it's actually a fluid that can be mixed with other fluids without any harm. It's actually a Volkswagen spec, and obviously Volkswagen Group don't really know what the customers put in their coolant system.
Right.
That's why they use it, because it will mix
with other stuff
without any negative effects. The only negative effect you're really going to get is if you put poor quality fluid into it, you're going to weaken the fluid.
Yeah, and its ability to heat transfer in the system. So you should change it every 5 years. How do you know when it needs changing? Is it when it goes clear, which I've seen in motorhomes we've had here?
Yeah, if it goes clear, that's not good. That probably means that
somebody's put water
in it, rather than putting antifreeze in it.
Oh dear. And what's the impact of that? Drain it all out?
Well, the antifreeze actually has a number of properties. So it's a biocide, so it stops things growing in your system. It's a coolant, which, just like in a car engine where you're taking heat off the hot surfaces of the engine to dissipate the heat, with a central heating system, you're taking heat from the hot surfaces of the boiler to transfer it into the caravan or the motorhome.
Yep.
It's also a corrosion inhibitor, which is perhaps the most important element of it. And the thing that most people know it for is it's there as a frost protection.
Yes,
so
as antifreeze.
As antifreeze,
yeah,
exactly.
Got it. Which water has none of those properties.
Yeah.
So don't put water in your Alde system, people. Top tip. So I want to talk about the cold chamber. This is amazing. This is a resource you share with Truma.
Yeah.
It's an amazing place. It's like an aircraft hangar. I was there years ago. And you see motorhomes that have a grade 3 heating award, if I can call it that. How do they achieve that? They come to you, go in your cold chamber. What happens?
Okay, so a grade 3 cold chamber test is so essentially you have to cool the vehicle down over 12 hours. So we put the vehicle into the cold chamber, we open all the windows and the doors, we lower the temperature in the cold chamber to -15. So by the time the test starts after the 12 hours, everything in that vehicle will be -15. The furniture, the roof, the windows, the fluids that are in there.
Damaged stuff in the vehicle?
No, I mean, occasionally you do see things that get damaged, but that's another part of the learning for the manufacturers. You know, you get more out of doing a cold chamber test than just a certificate. So once the vehicle's down to -15, we then start the test. So we close all the windows and the doors, you turn the heater on, and from that point it's actually got 4 hours to get from -15 to +20. There are some other elements of the test that I won't go into, but that's essentially the most difficult part of the test.
So you're placing thermostats in the motorhome,
Yeah.
and you've got thermal imaging cameras that are revealing the hot and cold spots
Yeah.
of the motorhome. So you talk about learning. You insist that a representative of the manufacturer is there and present during the test.
We do, yes. That's for two reasons, actually. One is for health and safety. The cold chamber is actually a very dangerous place to be. If you slip over in there and bump your head and you're by yourself, you'll probably never come out again.
You freeze.
You'd freeze, yeah. And also the temperature in there is such that it can exacerbate health conditions, cardiac conditions and things like that. So you always want to have two people in a cold chamber to make sure that there's somebody there should anything go wrong.
You're a coronary buddy with me,
yes,
both with a heart condition.
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you doing the cold chamber tests?
I enjoy it.
Okay.
I actually learn a tremendous amount from it. So, and that is the other reason that we have somebody there from the manufacturers, because even when a vehicle passes or fails the test, there's a lot of other things that can be learned. For instance, you could have a vehicle that passes its cold chamber test, so it gets its grade 3 certificate, but perhaps there's a floor vent in the living area where there's cold air, a cold draft coming in.
Yeah.
Well, with the thermal imaging camera, the manufacturer, the designer can actually see that, and although it's passed its test, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be comfortable. But if you can actually go in there and you can see how the windows are performing, where the vents are, if there's any cold drafts, they can make those small adjustments that actually make the biggest difference to the comfort level for the customer.
Yeah, that ankle draft is going to be really annoying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, unpleasant. And how long does it have to stay at 20 degrees for? Or is it just a question, I get to 20 and that's it, you've passed the test inside 4 hours?
No, we have a stabilisation period. Before the stabilisation period, you actually have to be able to run fresh water through the system as well. So once you've got that 4 hours, you have to be able to have running water come out of your taps. And then there's a stabilisation period, which is actually really just to measure gas and electrical consumption as a figure.
And presumably during this test, the cold chamber itself remains at -15.
It does, yeah. I mean, we have done colder tests than that. And in Sweden, where the winter caravan in temperature can be -35 in the north for months at a time, we do actually do colder tests than that. We almost give a comfort rating. I'm sure many of you are sort of familiar with sleeping bag comfort ratings.
Yes.
So in Sweden, you can actually say, well, this particular vehicle, it will hold +20, even when the temperature's -25, for instance. So it gives a better idea for the customer of what that vehicle's capable of.
So come on then, Leigh, tell us, you've seen all the tests, or most of them, between you and Chris.
Yeah.
Best performing manufacturer here in the UK?
No comment. Yeah.
Least
I will say
worst performing manufacturer?
No comment.
Definitely not going to answer that one.
We did do a custom vehicle ourselves.
Yeah.
Which was the best performing vehicle, where we totally built it from the ground.
I bet you put 1,000 radiators in it, didn't you? 4 Alde systems.
Yeah. It was totally unrealistic for what anybody could do. But
doesn't count. So you're not going to tell us the best manufacturer then?
No, I'm not going to tell you
Best country of origin of a manufacturer?
Oof, that's a difficult one. I don't know this for sure, but if I had to guess, I would say it was probably one of the vehicles that are built for Sweden's market.
Okay, that's not quite the answer I was after.
No, that was a very political answer.
It was a very political answer. I am going to privately guess off mic. I'm going to pick your brain. Now, you've got some exciting news coming in 2025. You are launching a new product. Alde have always innovated, and your whole system and the whole culture of the business is about innovation in everything you do. But what is it you're launching? Hopefully in April 2025. Hopefully, what is it?
We have a new diesel heater coming.
Okay.
So it's an absolute first for us. Really looking forward to it. It opens up some new markets for us, which I'm really excited about. As I say, I've been with the company for a long time, so having new markets is personally very interesting and exciting for me. It has a number of innovations that other products on the market don't have.
So go on, and firstly, what are the markets you're targeting?
Many different markets. It could be anything from welfare units, what you might see on a construction site, the marine market that we're very familiar with, panel vans, particularly at the sort of high-end expedition type vehicles.
Okay, yeah.
Something that's close to my heart. There's lots of different markets that it gives us.
Now I know this
access
has
to.
taken about 3 years to develop this diesel heater. What's the technology in it? What's special about it?
I can't say too much at this stage, but I would say probably one of the
anything away.
I would say that one of the USPs is that it's got a stepless burner in it.
So what is a stepless burner?
That's a burner that doesn't go on and off. It actually goes up and down rather than on and off. The benefit being that you get less sooting and less clogging, which is what normally occurs when the burner's going on and off.
Okay.
So your service intervals are reduced.
Yeah, so less frequent.
Absolutely.
6 kilowatt output.
Yeah.
So that's pretty powerful. So this is you're now head to head with Truma, but now you're going head to head with Webasto, Ibisbacher. It's market leader, do you think, this product?
Perhaps one day, but today very much Webasto and Ibisbacher, who obviously have produced heaters for the truck market and for the marine market for many years.
For a long time.
I would consider them to be the market leaders.
And also now, of course, prolific in the motorhome market as well, campervan market especially, with more and more mainstream manufacturers adopting them, particularly across Europe. So how much is it going to cost?
That's a difficult question to answer, to be honest.
You don't
at this
know,
stage.
do you?
No. The product's actually still going through a number of certification processes. So until that's done, we can't really answer that question.
So might we know?
It won't be too much more expensive than a gas system, would be my imagination.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So not a lot cheaper than a gas system.
Not a lot more expensive. Did I say cheaper?
No, you did say not a lot more expensive. Yeah. I thought it'd have been cheaper.
Yeah, no. Nothing ever gets cheaper with product development. I will say that. The electronics get more expensive because of certification and safety requirements as time goes on.
And something I find fascinating about this, you say the first batch of them is going to be hand built on your production line in the factory. That is going to push the cost up, isn't it?
It will do, but that won't be forever. You need to have a period of time where everything's controlled, where we're building prototypes for manufacturers as well. So, and the way we can do that most tightly is to have very good eyes on the product.
Yeah, brilliant. Leigh, it's been really exciting to have you here today. I've been very excited that you were coming in. So
I've enjoyed it, actually.
I'm glad you have. I know how nervous you were.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming, probably over 2 years. Leigh was one of the first guests I ever invited onto the podcast. And we'll do that. Yeah, and he never turned up.
Yeah.
So thank you
You're
for
very
coming
welcome.
in.
Thanks
I
for
think
having
it's
me.
been fascinating for our listeners to get more of an insight into what is one of the businesses and this marketplace's biggest brands, certainly one of the most respected. So thank you for giving us that. Where can people find out more about Alde online and get in touch?
Yeah, we've got a number of social media channels, and we have the website that they can also access. We do many Warner's shows, as you know. We often meet up. But obviously speak to you as well.
And what's the web address?
I'm happy to answer any questions that your viewers may have. So.
Okay, well, if you've got a question about the Alde system, do send it in. You can send your question to mhmp.info/askmatt, and we will send it to you, Leigh, and then you can give it an answer. But where can people find you online? What's the web address?
www.alde.co.uk.
Brilliant.
So that's Leigh Marsden. He's the managing director at Alde UK. So, Matt, very important question. Would you choose to have this system?
I would. It's a great question. And yeah, I've had it in the past. If I was going away a lot in winter in the van, I would definitely make this on my kind of wish list. It's quite an expensive option to have, and obviously it's limited to certain models. But yeah, if I was going skiing or doing a lot of winter touring, it would be a brilliant must-have, I think. We don't tend to do that, so we do have a Truma system in our motorhome, but it's certainly something I would consider if I was away a lot in the winter.
And because it does get cold in the UK, and it's nice to take your motorhome or caravan out, isn't it, in the winter time, maybe around Christmas to see the rallies?
We once spent Boxing Day on the beach in the van. Did a very small Christmas lunch in the oven.
Were you the bloke that I saw when the tide came in at Western Superman? It was halfway up your dangly bits.
It wasn't far from there. It was a beach called Barrow, which you can go on all year. And it's free out of season as well. It's brilliant. My kids have learnt to fly kites and ride bikes on that beach. Barrow Beach. It's lovely. We always used to joke, if you squint, it's like Miami.
It's the Motorhome Matt Podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
It's brought to you with thatleisureshop.com. It's time for our Q&A, our questions and answers, where you ask the questions. And Matt, as always, he will give you the answer. If he doesn't know, he'll ask someone who does, but he's the expert. Caroline Late has been in touch.
Hi, Matt. Just started listening to your podcast. Think it's brilliant. We've only just literally in the last week bought an auto sleeper Fairford. Well, your podcast has proved brilliant already. It's been really enjoyable to listen. Question for you. We can't get our heating to work. We've tried the control panel. Everything worked absolutely fine. Then an error came up. So I checked the book and I did a reset. And on doing the reset, all I've got now is a spanner and a clock symbol on the control panel. Don't seem to be getting anywhere. We can't seem to get an app to link up to the van. And so we can't even get an app to sort of reset it. I feel like we're going around in circles, really, and it's such a shame because we need to get out. Want to get out. We want to use the van in the winter, go and see all these exciting places. Can you give us any clues?
So, can you help Caroline? Huh?
Caroline. Yeah. Thanks for your kind words, Caroline. That's lovely. So this is a Truma system, from what you've said, with the CP Plus controller, and some of the error codes mean about 1,000 different things, and you Google them and you don't always find the right fault because they do mean multiple things. The first thing I would suggest is check the 12-volt connection to the control panel, and that there's good integrity between the control panel and the boiler. In our motorhome, if we turn the motorhome off on the main control panel, the boiler control panel, the Truma unit, immediately throws an error because it thinks it's lost connection to the boiler. It hasn't, it's just lost its 12-volt power because we've turned the motorhome off. And some of the codes suggest that there's a problem with the data cable between the control panel and the boiler. Again, there isn't, it's just that you've turned the motorhome off and killed the 12-volt power. So there's a few tips on the Truma website which I'm going to read for you now. Check the 12-volt connection to the heater is working. The isolation switch or master switch may need to be turned on, so this could be on your main control panel, and go to the spanner setting, so rotate the dial to the spanner and press it until you see reset. Press the button and press it again to send an initialization to the heater. So this is down to the boiler. So you have to press it twice, and it's not obvious that you need to do that. If the 12-volt connection and data cable are good, the symbols should reappear. So that refers to the motorhome, the water temperature, the gas bottle and the fan. If the icons don't appear after resetting, you can try this very quickly. Check the 12-volt power to the boiler, so that's checking fuses and power connections, and check that comms cable is connected both to the back of the control panel and to the boiler itself. It looks like a little network cable. If it's still stuck, then go on the approved workshop scheme and find an approved workshop to have a look at it for you, or give Truma a call. Paul and the team there are super helpful, and they will do everything they can over the phone to help you.
That's Truma, of course, in case you didn't know. Thanks, Caroline. Thanks for the question. Now, Brian Ham is in Reading. Hi, Matt and Keith. Would it be possible, when doing a product of the week, to also introduce a small campsite here in the UK, like CL, CS, and just privately owned ones as well? What's a CL and a CS? Can you remind us?
Yeah, so a CL is a certified location. They're campsites with only 5 pitches on, and they're run by the Caravan and Motorhome Club. A CS is the same thing, but a certified site run by the Camping and Caravanning Club. And again, limited to 5 pitches, often in a beautiful location, and they can be quite hard to find. The thing is, Brian, I'm not a travel writer or a travel journalist. And whilst I do spend as much time as I can in the van, I'm not really vlogging and creating content when we're doing that. I don't choose to do that. In fact, we tend to keep where we are in the van quite private and to ourselves, really. But we would love to expose more of what the two big clubs offer, much like we have been doing with Alan Rogers. So go ahead and hound them. We're trying to engage with them at the moment, and we are talking to both of the clubs about giving them some more exposure to you here on the podcast. But feel free to give them a call, drop them an email and say, why aren't you featured on the Motorhome Matt podcast? We'd love it if they were.
Cheers, Brian. Mandy Simpson's in Northumberland. Not necessarily a question, Mandy says, but just a mention, please. Huh? Please, can you just say a big hello to my hubby, Colin Simpson? He literally is a YouTube fan and watches your podcast all the time. We've had our caravan for just over a year, so very new to this. However, my hubby just loves pottering in it and fixes everything. We just love visiting various places, and in July we did an amazing holiday in France with our caravan. Brilliant podcast.
Oh, that's lovely. Thanks, Mandy.
So a big shout out, hello, and
hello to Colin Simpson. Hi, Colin.
Colin Simpson.
It's great to have you along.
Yeah, well done on your pottering, mate. And you see, the thing is with the men's union, don't do too much fixing things all at once, which is just going to come to expect it.
What I want to know is who's breaking it all. Why does Colin have to keep fixing it?
Things have got to be on the to-do list for a little while. So, come on, be a man, support the rest of us. Colin Simpson, thank you very much for watching and listening. Right then, how do people get in touch then, Matt?
We'd love it if you did. If you head to mhmp.info/ask Matt, you can submit a question there. You can fill in the form, or we'd love it if you recorded one. But please do tell us where in the world you are.
And campsites, listen to this. If you're looking for trusted brands and services, then make sure you visit the Motorhome Matt approved directory at mhmp.info/approved. That's mhmp.info/approved.
And if, like Colin, you are watching on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe and hit that little bell, brought to you by arabasecreative.co.uk.